Hello and welcome to the Weekend Handyman. Today I'm bringing back an old project, Project Fast Fatty, which was a Nitro Revo converted to run off electric. This is the fourth installment in that project. If you haven't followed along, you could watch all the other installments by clicking up over there. You can go backwards in time, essentially. A little background on this vehicle. I had found a nice rolling chassis of a Nitro Revo, minus, the engine, of course. A decent deal, so I picked it up. And I went ahead and did everything to convert it over to electric. I had converted it to a single speed tranny, built the mount for the motor, got my motor system, which is a Mamba Max. It runs 2 batteries. You could do a couple different configurations. The configuration that I had used last happened to be 2 3-cells mounted in series. Extremely fast. This is ridiculously powerful and ridiculously fast. But for this installment, really the only thing I've done is just changed a few minor things here or there. So it's been, I don't know, probably over a year since I've talked about this one, or shown it around, so I figured I'd update you a little bit on what had happened to it, or what has changed, rather. I would show you a video of it running, but it has actually decided to snow here, up in New England, which is an odd thing this season. So, no running video this time. One thing that's different, that's quick and easy, was this switch. The switch kept falling off in the previous place I had it, so I had to, and it even got all frayed up and chewed up a little bit. So, which it still actually is, but it's not a big deal. It's not really imperative that the switch is perfect, to be honest with you. If you're familiar with how a computer switch works, it's kind of similar. So I had cut it short, and double-sided taped it right inside. It works real good right there. No problems whatsoever. And most of my work since the last video has been with the motor mount. Previously, I had only had this aluminum mount that I had made and a zip tie, and then at one point I had got rid of the zip tie and just had shivs under the motor here. That didn't really work. The problem is that there's so much power in this thing that going from gas to brake to coasting to gas, I mean, there's enough give in this where the motor would sort of rock back and forth like this. And I believe, and crossing my fingers, that was one of the main reasons why I would blow through spur gears. So, I went back to the drawing board and figured out what I wanted to do for a motor mount. So this is my ultimate solution so far. I haven't been able to test it, obviously, because it's, set of the snow outside. But this is a polyurethane plastic, basically, mount that I cut out the shape to mount onto the chassis in the bottom, and it goes up and the motor gets fed through it. And then, of course, this is just some decently thick fabric that I put in there to take up the extra space that was around the edges of the circle hole for the motor. Because otherwise it would still have all the flex and really no difference, honestly. So let's show you what it looks like underneath. Underneath is pretty simple. It's basically just a big main square with a funny shape on the side to give it a little bit of contour, so it's just not a big stupid block looking thing. And my original plan was to have 3 screws that hold it in, but because of the motor orientation, I could not ever get a screw to fit in there. I could have, say, cut a slot right here to feed a screw through, but then I would have compromised the strength and the mount. So I compromised instead and only had 3 screws instead of 4, which, I mean, I've pried on this a few different times, 2 different ways, and that does not move, even with only 3 screws. I did, however, have to mount them with the nuts on the bottom instead of having the screw heads on the bottom, which is how I originally had wanted it, but because of space, because they were motor orientation again, I had to put the screws in this way. It works out well. I mean, they stick down a little bit, but it's a decent compromise for having extra strength in the motor so I don't chew through goddamn spur gears. You can barely see the screw heads down in there, but Here it is from the back. You can see it's got a little bit of a shape on top that I made for it, but it's a basic, again, square, cut out with a little extra shape so it doesn't look too stupid. That holds the motor in nice and tightly. This is the plastic I used to make the motor mount. It's pretty simple, and of course I painted it black because white would have looked dumb. But that's it for the 4th installment of Fat Fatty. Now, I would have running videos for you, but again, it's snowing. So, enjoy that. It's a little bit of an update video. A little bit of RC stuff, which is a little bit of change from some of the stuff that's been on the channel lately. Check them out. There's a whole playlist of RC videos.